And welcome back to Next Level Real Talk podcast with Sheldon and David. Hey, David, how you doing?
Doing great over here. How you been doing? How was your week this week?
Good. Another crazy week, in this world of insanity with all kinds of wild things happening in the world, and
Still going on.
it's all going on. And
Lots of
another,
good, lots of bad, lots of good things in life, and lots of bad things going on in life.
yeah,
Depends on where you
perspectives,
are.
right? It's just
Yeah.
perspective, and
So,
and sometimes it's how you look at it. Sometimes it really is pretty crazy.
hmm
Um,
yeah.
but
And on that, some
yep,
things that we were talking about before, but how that kind of flows right into what I want to talk about is like respond versus reaction. I
yeah,
mean, where are you at in this world? There's some things with, coworkers, with friends, with family that
yeah,
I've reacted when I should have just relaxed, stopped, dropped, and breathed,
yep,
and responded
yeah,
rather than where because it's that that's a reaction. You want to stop and go,
yeah.
okay, where am I at? Can we talk about
That
this?
hair trigger reaction, an instantaneous unconscious
Hmm.
reaction that happens when we get triggered. Somebody says something or does something, and it's boom, and there's a emotional reaction that is almost, it's like unconscious. It just happens automatically, right? That's the reaction we're talking about, versus
Hmm.
taking that moment to stop, drop into your heart, take a deep breath, you know, allow that
Hmm.
instantaneous reaction to sort of work flow its way out, and then go, okay, what's really going on here, or whatever that is, and ask yourself some questions so that you can respond consciously.
Yes.
Such a hard thing
And
to
my dad,
do.
my dad always told me, he goes, when you're angry at something, when you're typing an
Yeah,
email
yeah,
or doing anything, he goes, stop. If you type it up, and of course he says, he gets the emails, a letter. He'll stop, go have a cup of coffee.
I th-
He
I
goes,
love
come
that
back.
about I
He goes,
love
come
that.
back. He goes, and then reread it. He
Yep,
goes, now, he goes, you need to calm down because what you
yep,
send may not be what you felt in
yep,
that first moment.
yep.
And looking back, I'm like, oh my God, my dad should have been running this podcast.
That is
Yeah.
exactly
Totally.
100%. I mean, it's where you get it all from, right? You and your
Yeah.
mom. Your mom. We always give your mom
Hmm.
all the credit, but your dad obviously had some of that too,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
It was. We'll give them
As
both some
aggressive
credit,
as he was very
right? Right.
calm and he was.
Yeah.
But that's the thing you need to do is like, yeah, something comes up. Sometimes you do need to quote unquote react, respond at the immediate,
Yep.
but you got to like as you're responding, reacting, you got to say, okay, where am I at? Calm, calm, calm,
Yep.
calm,
Yep.
and react
And take a
as you
deep
respond.
breath and
But if you
and
can
yep.
walk away a minute,
Yep.
where are we at?
Yep.
What's going on? And I've done that in class, in school,
Yep.
when we're doing testing. I'm the one that's always there early. By the way, I got a
Mhm.
shout out by my principal. Thank you, Jamie. She does shout outs, by the way. It's so awesome. She does that for people. And one of the things she said, I'm there early to let the kids get in, relax, chill, and get the school ready to go, in the library. So that was a great shout out. Thank you, Jamie. But that, so as I come into on testing day, everything happens in the library.
Mhm.
And so things are kind of set up, okay? But then people come in and start changing things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's not good.
Yeah.
I'm not a good person when that happens. Okay. It's like, it's basically, what in the heck are you doing here? I
Your
go, this is what I'm
OCD,
doing.
your OCD, everything is all set up, kicks in, right?
Yeah.
Are people messing with that kind of stuff? And it's just like, bam.
And, and one thing is the kids are in line. I don't know what was going on. The kids were in line. Oh, it must have been at registry. I don't know what it was. But the kids were out the door and it was warm. I'm not going to argue that. But the plan was this. Well, the principal, not this one, this is years ago,
Uh-huh.
came in and changed the plan. And so
Yeah.
all the kids are in the library go, why are we
Happy.
doing this?
Yeah.
This is where they're not supposed to be. This is all the
Yeah.
test material.
Yeah.
What we got to do is we got to do this. I'm like, I look at my other boss. I go, so what's the plan now? The
Yeah.
plan's gone.
Yeah. Did anybody
And,
plan on telling
and
me what the plan was?
yeah, and I don't care. And I literally said, I don't care what we do. So
Yeah.
I was reacting. I was
Yeah.
angry.
Yeah.
I go, I don't care what we do, but just get a freaking plan and stick to it. I'm
Yeah.
tired of changing it every
Yeah.
second here.
Yeah.
And I go, because now counselors are doing this, we're doing this,
Yeah.
everybody else is doing this.
Yeah.
I go, it looks horrible for us
Like
right
a
now.
shit show, basically.
Totally.
Yeah.
That was a calm thing. The shit
Yeah.
show was mellow compared to
Yeah.
what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so now the way I do it
And you can
ahead of
feel your
time,
body reacting right now, right?
oh,
Just
yeah.
thinking about it, you can
I'm getting
feel
warmed up thinking about it. Yeah.
you can just feel everything coming back up, right?
Hmm. And some of that had to do with the people that were running it.
Yep.
That's their
Sure.
energy would come in. You're like,
Yep.
whoa, whoa.
Yep.
That's why we do this the night before. We're okay.
Yep.
So now what I do, I respond ahead of time. I say,
Mm.
okay, here's what we got. This is what we're doing. Is this okay?
Yep.
Is this what we're going to do?
Yep.
and I put things out, and then someone will come in and say something. I say, no, 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 no. This is how it's going to run.
Mhm.
Look at how it is.
Yep.
Oh, that works really well.
Yep.
We talked about that, but at that point, I'm already calm because I'm like, I know what we need to do.
Yeah, you have
Now,
to that's the external expression, which is, okay, I'm gonna take these steps, but you have to do that internal work first, right? Which
hmm
is, okay, this is frustrating or whatever, but I'm gonna allow myself to feel that frustration. I'm gonna acknowledge it, allow it, stop, drop into my heart, breathe through this a little bit, let the frustration happen. You can allow the
hmm
frustration to happen, and let that pass through you like those clouds, and then you can go
hmm
back in and say, okay, what do I need to do to fix this? Let me just fire an email, let me do this differently, right?
yeah,
um and that's super hard to do, right?
in that moment,
Especially,
yeah,
yeah, when the moment happens, when things
hmm
happen, and you have uh somebody talking to you and it happens triggered, and what are you going to say? Are you going to say something back instantaneously that's like, fuck you? You know what I mean?
yeah,
No, what are you saying? No, fuck you. And then, like we were talking about with the way we communicate these days, right? With text messaging and stuff like that.
hmm
I always said that, when you're face to face, you can feel somebody's kind of their energy. You can see their facial expression, you can hear the tone of the voice. You have all this input, this information that you're processing to analyze or to understand where that person's at, what they actually mean. And
yeah.
then, when you're on the phone, you have the voice, but you don't have the facial, you don't have the visual.
Articulation, yeah.
Yeah, and
You
then when you
hear
have
it
text,
like you and I talked about this a couple texts that I've been getting. I'm like,
yep,
I don't know how to read them. I don't know
yes,
what to do because
yes,
I go, this could mean three different ways. It's how
yes,
their voice sounds
yes.
when they
And
do it.
and then you have texting, which is now you have nothing, right? You don't have the
Nothing.
voice, you don't have the visual, you just have a couple of words, and then people are abbreviating it and they're shortening their message because they don't want to type the whole thing. I think
hmm
the kids these days are used to understanding and interpreting certain things, right? But even that
hmm
creates all kinds of weirdness, right? Because somebody said something, and you're like, are they trying to be a dick? Are they being snarky? Are they trying to be funny? What do they
Yeah.
mean by that? You know what I mean? There's all this
Yeah. Just
nuance that
just
you lose.
just a hey, what are you doing? Could be hey, what are you doing? Or hey, dude, what's up?
Yeah.
You know, which is it? I don't
Yeah.
know. How is your voice coming across?
It is
Are you
what's up.
mad at me?
Yeah.
Or you excited? Hey, dude, what's up? Let's go get a bite to eat. I
Yeah.
don't know what they're saying. So it's kind of you don't know the inflection, what's coming across.
Yeah,
And
so how do
that's
you
a
give
pleasure.
somebody the benefit of the doubt, right? How do we pause
hmm
for a moment? How do we stop? How do we take a breath? Especially with
Yeah.
texting. I think texting right now is so popular and prevalent as a form of communication, and yet, like I said, it's the least accurate in a way. It gives you the least amount of information to figure out what that person really meant. So it becomes
hmm
really important, I think, that we give each other, ourselves included, the benefit of the doubt. Can we
hmm
give some grace? Can we say, okay, maybe they didn't mean it quite like that? And I think you
Yeah.
had something, right, where it came up and you're like, hey, maybe
hmm
we need to talk. Let's talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So a buddy of mine, haven't talked in a while for
Yeah.
certain situations. It's been a couple months, and which is hard because a good friend of mine. Um, and so got a text, and it was kind of like we're going back and forth a little bit, and I'm like, "Whoa, is he angry at me?" I go, "Wait a minute. One,
Yeah.
it should be the other way around because of what we were talking about."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Wait a minute. Now you call him? Is he?"
Is,
And I
is,
asked Sheldon honestly before this. I asked him, "Where am I seeing this?"
yeah.
And I go, "You know what? I may just call to say, hey, let's talk. I don't understand what this conversation
Yep.
is."
Yep.
And then, and honestly, in that, there's been that to me. I don't know
hmm
where he's coming from, but
Yep.
animosity in me because of some situations.
Yep.
And so I'm hoping that this and a conversation brings us back together.
So so without getting into the details, right?
Mhm,
So if there's a dynamic between you and the other person, which is what's going
mhm,
on, and it
mhm,
creates an emotional reaction in you, in other words, you're feeling abandoned, let's say, or you're feeling like, are we friends anymore? You're feeling this way about the
mhm,
friendship, right? Due to some circumstances. And so you're interpreting these texts through this filter of this emotion that
mhm.
you're feeling. And so those things cloud how we see things, right? And
Yep.
so then your reaction, your instantaneous unconscious reaction is through all of these filters, these veils of, you know, anger or, hurt or
Mhm.
whatever you
Yeah.
resentment, whatever you want to call it, right? And that clouds how you see it and then potentially what you express out, right?
And what's coming in may not even be
Yeah.
what I'm seeing. Maybe
It's
you're like, "Hey, what's
yeah,
up?" Like, I'm going,
it's it's
I'm
like
seeing
that.
like the negative.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
rose-colored, they always say, "Oh," that expression, "Oh, you look at the world through rose-colored glasses," these people that are,
Uh-huh.
somebody's optimist, "Oh, you're looking at the world through rose-colored glasses." Well, we can also look at them through dark and stormy glasses too, right? That make
Yes.
everything worse than it really is.
Mhm.
And that's the I guess, we talk about this a lot, but this is that idea that you have to do that clearing in within yourself first, right? You have to do your
Mhm.
own personal work about who you are, where you are, how you relate to the world, how you see the world, and how you relate to yourself and what is yourself. And as you give yourself permission to have those things, again, love heals all things. Perfect love casts out all fear. I'm a big believer that unconditional love, it's the love
Mhm.
that is compassionate and not
Yeah.
judgmental, right? No amount of judgment, no aspect of judgment is love, right? So love doesn't judge. And so when you're looking at yourself and you're like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you can't believe you feel it. Then people get in a fight with themselves. They're trying
Yeah.
not to have
We're
that.
our worst critic. We are our
Yeah,
worst
we become our worst
critic.
critic. And
Mhm.
and it's really weird because there are some people I think out there that are good at criticizing everybody else and they give themselves a lot of grace. Right?
Mm.
And then there are
Uh-huh.
people that are super hard on themselves and they give everybody else a break, right? They're like,
Mm.
"Oh, that's
Uh-huh.
okay, they had a bad day." But then if you think the littlest weird thought or, "Oh, I can't believe I did that. I shouldn't have done that." Da, 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 and so there's these weird dynamics with certain people, I think, where some are
Yeah. Good
more
point.
outwardly forgiving and then they're
Mhm.
very harsh on themselves. And then some people are very harsh on everybody else and then they forgive
Mhm.
themselves and they give themselves a lot of grace. So there's all these weird dynamics in
Yeah.
people in
And
humanity.
that yeah, and that comes up with the hardest ones as we talk about this, there's two big scenarios in this. Obviously people we don't know, but in friendships and
Mhm.
family.
Yeah,
That's where we do it the most, where we react
exactly.
rather than respond. The
Yeah.
ones we love the most, like I say, the ones we love the most, we hurt the
Yeah.
most because we're just like, it's like,
It's
well, why can I say that to? Okay, I was going to say you. Why can I say that to little Mary on the street and kind of, but and be nice? Hey, Mary, I'll go and talk
eh
to her, whatever. That's someone I knew, a colleague or whatever. But yeah, when I'm at the dinner table, I can be really harsh and mean and react quickly. Why
yeah.
can't I do the same thing on both sides and be responsive rather than reactive?
Yeah, and that I think it's the vulnerability, right? I always say that, you're in an intimate relationship with somebody, that person can hurt you more profoundly than anybody else, right? Stranger on the street
Hmm.
says something, you're like, "Psh, they don't know me, who are
Whatever.
they? Freaking idiot," or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You just brush it off and it's like water off a duck's back. But, your brother says something to you, your parent
Hmm.
says something to you, your spouse, your partner says something to you, and, they're that person, your person, all of
Yeah.
a sudden that thing cuts deeper, right? It just feels so. I know I've said it before. Like I think that the Hindu has a tradition that you can't be fully enlightened or whatever you want to call that until you've been in a marriage, and the
Yeah.
reason for that is that the marriage partner, that other person, has you've been more open and more vulnerable to that person than anybody else, so they have the
Hmm.
capacity to hurt you
Yeah.
more than anybody else, which also creates a weird shield. Like you can be more judgmental to that person than anybody else.
Hmm.
Like, oh, how you dress is a reflection of me, or how you speak is a reflection of me, or what you think is a reflection of me. So then you become more controlling and more judgmental of that person than you would of
Hmm.
anybody else. Right. So
And it's how you take things and see things.
mm,
If I'm more critical to myself and someone says something to me, okay,
yep,
I'm going to use my ex-wife. Okay, let's
yep,
say person says something to me, and I'm like, she didn't mean it that way,
yep.
but I'm so critical of myself
You
that
took it
she
that way.
said one. I'll use it in percentage. She gave me 1% comment. I took it as an 80% comment.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, wow, that was horrible.
yeah,
Well, I don't know what I'm, and if I were to say that out loud, I'd be like, that's not at all what I meant. I meant
yeah,
it kind of more of a positive than a
yeah.
negative, and kind of so it's how I take it in,
Right.
and
Which is
so
through that
in the
filter of your own stuff,
mhm.
right? Your
Oof,
own wounds, your own ego, your own shame, your own guilt, your own fears. You're filtering this external stuff through all of that and it clouds it and distorts the
yeah.
thing. Um,
Which brings to a very, very, very. This is where I was planning on going. Brings to a very important point of when this happens, and there's that. What's going on? Stop and talk to them.
mm,
It's a hard conversation
mm,
sometimes.
Mhm.
But it'll be a hard conversation when I have
Yep.
when I hopefully
Yep.
get to talk to my friend.
Yep.
But it's like, where are we at? What's going on?
Yep.
I'm feeling something here.
Yep.
It's not easy, but it's the best thing to do. No
Yep.
matter if you get together, talk about it, and it doesn't work, and it's still a bad thing. Okay, at least you got there. You
And
know where you stand. And
and
if it works out, oh my gosh, how good to get together. It's even more bonding.
yeah,
You become close.
and the thing about that I think to me, one of the techniques for that is really staying focused on yourself. I'm
Mhm,
feeling a little hurt, to be honest with you. I'm feeling a little vulnerable. I'm feeling a little like, abandoned. Your friendship means a lot to me and it feels like we've been disconnected and that hurts me. Sharing how you feel versus you
mhm.
did this, you've been
You
doing
did
this,
me. Right.
right?
Yeah.
You're
How do you
attacking.
feel? Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's
totally.
hard
Yeah.
because that makes you vulnerable, right? I I
That's that
I think
dog laying over. The
I
dog
said
laying
that
on his back. Here I am.
yeah, we talked about that real recently, right? Where I
Yeah.
said the hardest thing for me to do exactly was just say, "You hurt my feelings," you know,
Mhm.
because that's that
Vulnerable.
vulnerability. It's not you said
Mhm.
this and you were wrong. It's just like I was
You
hurt
hurt
when
me.
you
I
know what I
was
mean?
hurt.
And then
Mhm.
the person can say, "Well, I didn't mean it like that. I meant like this." And you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, I didn't understand."
And as you say that, then that person's like, "Oh, okay, so I now realize that I'm
Yep,
saying this
yep,
in this tone. I
yep,
didn't realize I was doing that."
yep,
So it's sometimes people just have to, and not in a, "You're saying this in this
yep,
tone." It's like, "No, this hurt me." "Well, why did it
yep,
hurt you?" "Well, you came across." "Oh, I didn't realize I was
yep.
doing that." Because they
Yeah.
don't, which
Or
is
you ever had
okay.
somebody say, "Well, when you texted, it seemed, oh, I'm sorry, I was at work and I just tried to fire off a text real quick, or I was driving, so I gave you a really short answer and
Yeah.
it ended up sounding curt, or something."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh," so
And one part I told Sheldon about this conversation was like, I was like, "What is that?" He's like, and so I won't mention it because it reveals everything. But it was like, I don't know. He goes,
yeah,
well, okay, let's call and find out. I
yeah,
gotta call and find out what's
yeah,
going on with
yeah, yeah,
this.
exactly.
But
And
yeah, so people, it's a hard thing, and we're not saying like, okay, someone like if I'm in the middle of the situation at school and I'm like, okay, everybody stop. I need to sit down and relax. No, you got to keep going. And it's one of those learning to stop, drop,
mhm,
and
mhm,
breathe.
mhm,
Like I couldn't do that quickly before. I
yeah,
mean, I had to take time. Guys, I had to go across the hall,
yeah,
when I was going through that situation in my life. And so now comes up and goes, hold on a second. I just walk away,
yep,
breathe for a second, and go right back.
yep,
It's not walking away for 5, 10 minutes.
right.
It's
And
practicing those
yeah,
breathing
and that's
techniques
why
that you can stop, drop, and breathe quickly.
practicing it, even if it's
Mhm,
just stop, drop, and breathe, or doing the golden sun meditation that,
mhm,
we got the videos on, right? If you do those things 5 times a day, I always say it's like training. It's like practice in
mhm.
football or whatever it is in, sports or athletics. You practice
Swimming.
swimming. You practice when
There we
it's
go.
not a real meet. You
Nope.
practice so that you know
Mhm.
how to perform and you know what to do when it is the real thing, right?
Yep.
So, like
Mhm,
in martial arts, you practice taking a punch or blocking a punch or blocking a kick, right? When it's not real, so that when it is real, you've trained the
mhm.
reactions and they're more instantaneous, but they're correct, right? So you train
Yeah.
yourself to stop, drop, and breathe. You train yourself how to relax, uh, and how to take that moment. You train yourself to become more aware of what's going on in the mind, paying attention to what's happening, right? Um, so that you know kind of how you internally work, and that's that whole thing
Mhm.
about the unexamined life is not worth living. Carl Jung said that, right? Because it's like if you don't pay attention and you don't spend some time going, wow, that is how I react, or that is what's coming up, or becoming aware of the emotional landscape and the mental landscape that's happening within your mind, how it thinks and your emotions and how your body reacts to them. And um, you have to spend some time with that with loving compassion, right? And that's the thing,
Mhm.
that love heals all things. I really, really believe that. It's unconditional love. It's not judgment. You're not looking at that stuff to say, look at how screwed up I am. You're looking at that with loving compassion for yourself.
Yeah.
That just it like takes the edges off of everything. It like
Mhm.
quells all that fire and it just allows things. And then when you're feeling more relaxed and you're feeling more whole, right? And
Totally.
that's what a lot of the teachings call it, returning to original wholeness, right? We have this wholeness that we were born with that we lose. And then when we
Mhm.
return to that through this process within ourselves, we naturally become more loving, we laugh easier. We become more empathetic and tolerant, and it just
Hmm.
and not because you're forcing something, it's just because you understand that we're all living through stuff right now, right?
Yeah.
And then
And
that builds the connection and the bridge, right? And so
mhm.
then love brings people together, brings things together, brings polarities and unifies the polarities versus driving things further and further apart, which is what it looks like is happening in the world right now,
Yeah.
right? Everything is
Yeah.
getting further apart. And how do we become the place where we can bring things closer together, um, whether it's
And that,
within friendships, family units, right? Intimate things, and allowing that energy to expand to society in a whole. Anyway.
so we all have different emotions and feelings and in ourselves, and that's what makes us special. We're all
Mhm,
different, which
mhm,
is okay,
which is
and that's
beautiful.
that which is beautiful, and
Yep,
that's that vulnerability, saying like, I was hurt. Like, wait,
yep,
would anybody else be hurt? Well, who cares?
yep,
You were hurt. It's about you.
yep,
And that allows the other person to know where you're coming from
yep.
and respect, like, okay, this is how they are. Not that, oh, God, he's such a baby,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
No. Now, if they
and
do that, it's time to say goodbye, okay?
right, I
Because
was
they
gonna
don't care
say,
about where
if
you are.
yeah, they have
Yeah.
their opportunity, right? Balls in their court, kinda, and
Hmm. Yeah.
how they respond to
Totally.
you, right?
Hmm.
Will,
Tell you where
um,
you are at that in that
yeah,
relationship.
when people show you who they are, believe them. Who's that said that? I'm
Yeah.
always
So
forgetting her name.
so no matter where you are, what your emotion is, it's okay.
Yeah,
And yes, you're gonna feel vulnerable no matter what, because that's just who we are as humans.
mhm,
But be willing to express that so then others
mhm,
can see it and
mhm,
feel it for
mhm,
you and know that this is where they are. I mean, I've
mhm.
got friends at school, my colleagues, that if I see them come in and something's going to go, that happened today.
Yep,
Because I've been able to have talks with them,
yep,
and not with problems between us, but they've been vulnerable to say, this is how I'm feeling about this today.
mhm,
And
mhm.
and so it's kind of like, okay, so this person's coming from here. So be willing to have those conversations and
Yeah,
understand and respect the other person
yeah,
of where they're coming from too. And if you are open to listening, then you're going to learn more about that person and
yep,
grow stronger. That's how
yep,
those bonds become so
yep,
much stronger.
yep, yep,
So, and if you don't respect it, then you need to end that
yeah,
relationship, because
yep,
it's you got to have respect.
yes, and
So,
I think one of the other things about, looking at what's going on within your own internal landscape with love and with compassion and unconditional love, like I'm talking about, one of the things that's the key, we talked about, this training, right? Doing a little meditation and being able to witness your thoughts. All of this stuff is always tying together, and we're kind of just repeating it over and over again, right? Because the thoughts, meditation allows you to recognize that you are not your thoughts, that the thoughts are these
mhm,
clouds passing through the sky. And so
yep.
if you have a
Mhm,
bad thought or a bad emotion or whatever, it doesn't mean you're bad, right? Like, oh, I hate that person, or I want to kill them, or I want to, blah, blah, I'm so mad, or whatever. It doesn't matter what that emotional thing is. That's just stuff in there that needs clearing
mhm,
and release and
yeah.
allowance and love. It needs compassion to allow that thing to express itself out fully and then be released. And so many of us are judging our own self and judging our thoughts. Or first of all, we don't realize that we're not our thoughts. So we think if I have a bad thought, I'm a bad person. And then
Mhm,
that creates this weird tension because now you're trying to not have bad thoughts. Good luck
yeah.
with that.
You're pushing yourself through it. Yeah,
Good luck
exactly.
with that, right? Because then it just creates this weird tightness. It's like putting a pressure cooker and then the stuff pops out somewhere, right? Whereas, and
If
this,
you learn not to have bad thoughts, let's talk. I
yeah,
would really
yeah,
love to, because I want to
yeah,
I want to sponsor you, manage you, whatever,
yeah.
because you're going to be worth billions of dollars. So,
Exactly. And the
yeah.
Taoists talk about being natural, and it's kind of funny. They go, "Oh, allow things to come behave naturally." And I remember always thinking that that was weird because, you know, I'm angry or I'm this or whatever, right? But once you as you go through the process of kind of just paying attention to things and allowing and releasing and healing those things, the natural thing is more and more loving, right? But
Hmm.
you have to go through the process. You have to do the work really to get to that place where
Yeah.
the natural response is more loving, and that's what happens over time as we talked about as we're practicing, as we're getting
And
better at these things. And
yeah, and I'm going to use some examples. Obviously, when mom passed away, dad passed away, that's hard times for the whole family, and that really pushes buttons.
yeah,
And with with
yes,
with mom, she passed away, in December. and we had I'm gonna say December 31st. Is that what it was? Mom, Dad was the 31st. I don't know. Mom passed away late December, 28th, December 28th, and we didn't have the celebration of life until January 28th. And
Mhm.
people were like, "Well, why are you waiting a whole month?" Because you're supposed to do the traditional 3 days, whatever,
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. I and if they would have just nicely asked,
Yeah.
I said, because I hate to say it, but the crematorium said that they're really backed up
Yeah.
and they can't get it to us until then. And so they set a certain date and I gave it an extra week.
Yeah.
I go, so sorry to say, there's a lot of people dying right now that want
Yeah.
to be cremated. I go,
And
it's not me. Going like, I'm going to piss everybody off. I'm going to go a whole month and do what I want to do.
and
It's like,
and generally speaking, the
and
good thing about that is it gives people more time to plan, you know?
By the way, it was cool. And by the way, family from out of town could come in town.
Right,
You
because they
got
could
to come
plan.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? It's more relaxing.
Yeah.
And I hope they do that when I pass on. And
Yeah.
same thing with dad.
Yeah.
Some people are like, you got to do it now. We waited
Yeah.
August,
Yeah.
September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, March. 7 months.
Yep.
That, because by the way, my family in Vermont was in snow the whole time.
Yeah.
They couldn't get out of there.
Yeah.
And you know what? Dad was cremated.
Yeah.
Half his organs were given
Yeah.
to science, and I'm like, that's cool.
Yep. It's one of the benefits of having cremation, right? Where you you
Yeah,
can do that. You can be a
exactly.
little more flexible with those things. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna call people, but it was so funny because mom passed away on December 28th. Okay, when me and my brother and the hospice angel were there, mom passed away
Mhm.
on December 28th at 11:55 p.m. Okay, that's on a border of another day.
Yep.
So she was legally declared dead at 12:03 on the 29th.
Mm,
So
interesting.
I had been saying, because I know when my mom died.
Yeah.
My brother and I said she died on the 28th. So we
Yeah.
said that's what the date we've always put on everything, and we talked about it. And there were some family members said, I thought she died on the 29th. I go, yeah. And if they would have just asked,
Ask. Yeah.
I would have said, this is why we're saying the 28th,
Yeah.
because we were present.
Yeah.
Now, if I wasn't present when mom passed away, 12:03 is the time.
Yeah.
So it's nothing like, well, that's going to make a difference in,
Yeah.
in time. It's just that's when mom left us,
Yeah.
So
Isn't
it
that
was,
funny? Because that's how history gets distorted, right?
oh,
And
totally.
500 years later, they go, "What date is she?" You know what I mean? And
It's like, well, yeah. So that became a little, it was a weird issue
yeah.
that people had, and I was going like, wow. But if you just talk about it, so those family issues can bring up hard things, little things like
Yeah.
that.
And especially in those
So,
times because the pain is there, right? It's like that
mhm,
loss activates all this stuff within you. And when that loss
mhm,
is activated, all of your own woundings, all of your own stuff, whether you're in pain because you love that person so much or you're angry because you hated them and it's bringing up all the anger or whatever it is, right? It's
mhm,
always bringing up the stuff within you. And that's the thing that you have the ability to release, right? The that's where your power lies, right? In the in
yeah,
the in the way of I think it's a Course in Miracles talks about that love is given to you freely of the Father. It says it in those kind of Christian terms, right? Like that
mhm,
is your essence. Your divine nature is love, unconditional
mhm,
love. Like that is
mhm,
the divine spark within you. So you are already that. You don't have to make it. You're not making it. You're just
yeah,
releasing it into the world,
mhm,
your desire to express it in however you want, right? So,
mhm,
oh, I'm going to do this, or through artwork, I'm going to paint, or through whatever it is. That's your way of expressing, and of course, calls it extending that love into the world, right? But you have the
yeah,
choice not to, too. Right? You have
mhm,
free will. So you could choose not to. You could choose to block it. You could choose to stay in your judgment, your anger, your
yeah,
shame, and all that kind of stuff, right? So the real power that we have isn't to create love because it's already part of who we are. We can extend
mhm,
that if we not. Our power is to choose it. So the
mm,
power is in choice.
awesome.
And he goes, that's the ultimate power that you have as a human being is to choose. What are you going to choose to align yourself with? And how are you going to choose to express into the world? And that is the ultimate power that we have, the choice. And, you know, and in
How to
every
express the
moment,
love.
Yeah,
Mhm.
how do you want to express love? And that's ultimately where you wanna be when that comes naturally, right? And sometimes it doesn't come naturally, and that's okay too, right? Right?
Yeah.
Because we all have
And
this.
yeah, and that's goes right back to that main point, as we're talking about
Mhm,
respond or react.
mhm,
That love,
yep,
if you're working through love and
mhm.
peace, then you're gonna more respond,
Yes,
and
yes.
you
That
may
will happen
react.
naturally, yes.
Yeah, you may react right there, but
Mhm,
that reaction may be in love rather than anger,
mhm,
if that makes sense. So at
yep,
that same time, so you're working that. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm getting better at my
yeah.
reaction.
None of us
My
are with any
reaction,
of this.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
my
so
my
don't take that,
reaction,
yeah, don't take this to
yeah.
mean anything about us particularly,
If
right?
if you think we're perfect, we'll come over your house,
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
little
well, heck,
beer or
yeah,
something, and we'll talk. We'll tell you some
and then
stories,
you'll know.
okay? Like, oh, these guys really, I real life
That's
talking to them.
funny
Yeah,
as hell. Yeah,
you don't know.
exactly,
You,
right?
you may show me in my stories. Oh my God, just us.
Yeah,
We don't have stuff apart.
yeah.
Um, but know um, that I'm hoping and praying that as I react more, because you have to react quickly sometimes,
Mm,
that those reactions are more positive and
yeah,
love, and that's that power that if I can give
yep,
that quicker
yep,
rather than be
yep,
and then come back to love,
yep,
just do it right then and there.
yep.
And we have to respect other people's
Mhm,
emotions and stuff when
mhm.
in family and friends thing. And I'm gonna bring it way up. Ray Pino, when he passed away, God bless him, he choked to death at school. Literally, people choked to death at school.
Wow,
Um, and
that's
horrible
crazy.
because he was one of my best friends and mentors.
That's
It was
crazy.
hard.
Yep,
And I will tell you, I reacted differently than a lot of people. I admit, I even questioned myself. God, I'm not even really crying. Did I really care for him? Yeah, I did. I was okay. I wasn't okay that he gone, but I was like, damn. But I had my moments.
yeah,
I wasn't in public crying
yeah.
and sobbing and going crazy.
You might have been in
And
shock, you know?
yeah, that
Your
yeah.
your body hadn't
And
even
so
really processed it all yet. You're
yeah.
just like,
So
"Okay, I got class
six
I gotta do."
I want to say 6 months later, the district did some therapy sessions with the
Mhm.
staff. And we're in COVID, so it was like, do whatever you want to do. Um, and they're doing sessions and they're at the school and I was getting called out because I wasn't going to them. And someone was really upset at me. I'm talking angry. Told me,
Wow.
what the hell? Why do you think you're so much better than us? We need you there. I'm like, I don't need to rehash this.
Yeah,
I'm okay where I
yeah,
am.
yeah,
I'm not okay that he's gone. I'm
yeah,
okay where we are.
yeah,
And I don't want to go back into a therapy session and bring it all up
yeah.
because I let it go. And so I was shunned by a lot of people,
Wow.
literally shunned. And it hurt.
Yeah,
And I just said, I don't need this.
yeah,
I'm sorry that I'm not there,
yeah,
but if you need me to help you get better, that's a different issue.
yeah,
So you go to that therapy, they can
yeah,
come to me and we can sit and talk all
yeah,
we want.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm not going to go sit through a therapy session to where
yeah,
I'm going to bring up
yeah,
negative things
yeah.
at that point. Just negative. And I will say to this day, I mean, we celebrate. You'll see if you ever go on my Facebook or
Yep,
Instagram post, I
yep,
celebrate his birthday
yep,
and I celebrate the day he passed
yep,
because it's a celebration. I mean, I don't want him to die, but he's in heaven.
yep,
I don't go into a secluded mode and all day. Oh
yep,
my god,
yep,
go drink beer all day. No, I just go. I miss them.
yep,
I'll go to Native New Yorker,
yep,
Mike the bartender. I walk in.
yep,
I say, "Today's the day." He's like, "Boop, there's a
yep,
shot of apple."
yeah,
I'll have a shot. I'm out. Um, but it's we're all different, and they,
yeah,
they were really angry with me at that time,
yeah,
and that kind of hurt me
yeah.
because I was
But
being vulnerable. And I'm okay.
and that's
You
that
know.
pain that they're in, right? And how it colors,
Hmm.
like, their pain colors things,
Hmm.
and then it affects how they react or how they respond out into the world. They're
Yeah.
they're they're
Hmm.
coming from this unhealed place within themselves, right?
Yeah.
Which which can come out as attacking, judgmental, angry, whatever, violent,
Yeah.
right? It can
Hmm.
come out in all kinds of wild ways. Um,
Yeah.
but I
And
think
and
go ahead.
so the hard thing is like, yeah, at home, there's times I'm going like, God, where's Pino?
Yeah.
And I'll have a little tear,
Yep.
but they don't see it. They
Yep.
think I'm just like being just
Yep.
hard heart. You don't care. I'm like, yeah, I do. Yeah,
Yep.
come sit on the couch with me, and I'm having a cry because I'm missing my buddy. I don't sit there in public cry about dad and mom, but I'll be sitting there. I mean, I'm driving home from work, and I'm like, oh, I think
Yep.
about calling her mom and dad. A little tear.
Yep.
I'm like, yes,
When
I still care, but I
yeah.
don't I don't react how other people do. It's okay,
Yeah,
you know?
When my ex, her yoga teacher died, and Callie, and it
Mhm.
was a big thing. She had a whole community. That woman was just dynamic. She had this personality. She had almost like a cult following of people that really loved her. And
Uh-huh.
Karen was like her closest friend at that time, one of her closest friends for sure. She was definitely in her little inner circle. And when Callie died, which was sudden, I remember Karen, and she was just like, "I think it's going to take me some time before I can really process this."
Yeah.
And she was conscious of that, which I thought was beautiful. She had this
Which is awesome. Yeah.
self-awareness. She had enough
Mhm.
self-awareness to just go, "You know what? I'm probably not really gonna feel this right now." Like, I just
Mhm.
know that. Like, she was kinda shutting down a little bit and kinda blocking the emotional response a little, and she kinda knew that. Like I said, she had enough self-awareness to say, "You know what? This is probably gonna." And I think it was, like, 6 months later, a year later, when she really gave herself
Mhm.
permission to sort of go through that,
Yeah.
the
Which is okay.
sadness and tears and release
Mhm.
some stuff but yeah, sometimes everyone's different about how they move through these things, right?
And that's a
And
hard thing with family. Okay,
yeah.
so you're in a situation, maybe you're in a family setting, you're around the dinner
Mhm,
table and you're talking about
mhm.
things. Everyone's at a different level,
Yep,
and that's hard.
yep,
If I'm totally over it and my brother is just bawling and
yep.
crying, who's wrong?
Yeah.
Neither of us.
Yes.
Neither of us are right.
Yes.
Neither of us are wrong. We're
Yes.
both right because we're in our world,
100%,
you know.
100%.
And I will tell you, my brother has a harder time with mom and dad's passing
Yes.
because he wasn't as involved.
Yep.
I mean, he was, but he wasn't. He realizes he missed some stuff, and
Sure,
that's okay. And
sure.
that's where he and I
Yep.
come together more
Yeah,
because
isn't that beautiful?
he,
And
yeah,
even his
and
and for those that don't know, your brother, right?
mhm,
He's very
yeah,
different than you are. Some could say polar opposite. You know,
yeah, no, like
some have
nephews,
said that. I
mom,
think we mentioned that on the podcast before. So if you listen to all, you know that, right? But it doesn't mean, like in the Irish expression, you're the blue-eyed, right? You're the golden boy. You're the
mhm,
the
yep,
favorite or whatever. And Bobby was like the rebellious one who kind
rebellious
of
boy.
broke all the molds and went on his own path, right? And
Mhm,
even though he might have outwardly said, "I'm doing my own thing, f you, blah blah blah, I don't care," you know, it doesn't mean he doesn't care, and it doesn't mean he doesn't feel that feeling, and
yeah,
it doesn't mean he's not
mhm,
affected by that loss, right? And so he's just going to process it in his own way, right?
yeah,
And
mhm.
some people don't, to be honest with you, some
Oh
people
yeah,
can lock things
totally.
down for forever, and that's okay
Yeah.
too,
And
right?
so if you're in that family setting around that table
Mhm,
and you're talking about something and it's bringing up the emotions,
mhm.
I don't know, you may be planning something, maybe it may be the
Right?
immediate death or whatever. Kind of you have to step back
Yep.
and go, where's everybody coming from?
Yeah.
And you may be the one to say, okay, but let's stop a second. Let's take a breath. We're all coming from different places right now,
Yeah.
different
And
feelings. I mean, obviously, the spouse that just lost, their
yep.
spouse is
Yep.
going to be a deeper heart
But,
than the person that's on the other side
so
of the table, maybe.
so in
So,
our yeah, we just,
you know,
my brother-in-law Steven's his anniversary of his passing is coming up, right?
mm,
And of course, that's bringing up all kinds of stuff
yes,
within everybody in the family because just like
yes,
exactly like this is, exactly like what we're talking about here. Uh, you're somebody that we all
hmm,
loved,
oh
still
yeah,
feel, the pain of that loss. Um, and it brings up stuff, you know what I mean? It's just like, shit. I can
yeah, yeah.
feel it
It's
coming up
hard,
right now.
yeah,
I can feel it
because
coming up right now.
and because you all love each other,
Yeah, and we all
but it
feel
seems like
that, right?
you might be getting on each other because like I want this
Yeah,
really
and
fast.
and
It's
and
like
then
no, no,
we
no,
all
yeah,
exactly what we're saying. Everybody is in that place differently,
hmm,
right? And everybody is in that place that might still feel really raw and wounded and unhealed and just,
hmm,
like like an infected wound is still very, very tender. And some people may be further along that process, you know, um, but you know, having loving compassion for yourself and where you're at and being gentle with yourself will allow you naturally to be more gentle with other people when they are in their place and to be more empathetic and understanding of where they are when they're in that place that might not be completely healed and just over
yeah, hmm.
good, you know what I mean? And right,
And
so
and to me, when I'm in that situation,
mhm.
okay, so let's just say I don't know how to do it. Okay, I'm gonna pick yours, and I'm sorry if I'm totally if Sheldon's family is listening, I'm sorry because I'm totally not even telling the story right. But so let's say so it'd be your sister-in-law was a spouse that lost him,
Yes,
right? So
yeah,
so your sister-in-law. she's the one that's got the most, if I can say that. I'm sorry to say that in a certain way. You got the
Oh,
sisters. Okay, so
yep.
that's a whole other thing. Then you
There's
got the
different,
family.
100%,
Yeah.
super.
So you got that going different.
I think they would say
Um,
that, they're the most.
they're the most. I agree.
Everybody has their own feeling of it's
Yes.
the most to each of us individually,
Yeah,
right?
but I'm going by the
Yep.
hierarchy
Yep,
of,
yep,
okay, they're married,
yep,
but they're family. So you got the spouse who is grieving,
yep.
but then you got the family.
That's
Okay, I'm,
also
I'm gonna
yep,
say that I'm gonna say that the
yep,
siblings that are
yep,
grieving because they've been there
sure,
with that person all their life,
100%.
and so it's a different thing, and
Yep,
that's where it's got to be like, okay, we want this, she wants that. I don't even know what's going on. Just,
yep.
just so you know, people, I don't know. I'm just making up stories.
Yeah, I
Um,
just yeah,
so I want people to know that. I don't know. But it's like, okay, how do we come to an agreement? Like now, sometimes there's a total Grand Canyon between you. I mean,
yep,
it's over. It's not going to work. But if you try to step back, like, where can we just come together on this? What do we
yep,
need for this?
yep.
Or, you know, and I'm thinking more funeral stuff. Like, hey, we want this, we want that, we want this. It's like, well, how do we kind of make this work? It could be cultural things.
Mhm,
Okay, so
mhm,
obviously, he's from Ireland. Okay, so there's that Irish in there, and I
mhm.
don't know if there's any cultural things when they pass away when the funeral happens. The siblings may say we need to do this, and the spouse is like, I'm from
Hey,
I'm from Zimbabwe, and we do it this way. Like,
yeah,
whoa, and so
I
that's where it becomes a real issue. And so,
I made
yeah,
barely arrangements for years, I
uh
did
huh,
that for a living, and
yep,
what you're talking about is the rawness of the loss. Everybody's in this raw wounded space, and so I always say
hmm,
that those wounds are deeper than other wounds. Why? Because you're vulnerable and you're so raw, so
hmm,
traumatized and hurt, all that stuff, that if something goes wrong or an argument happens in those moments, it cuts deeper. Like I
hmm,
would, I have a friend of mine who didn't talk to his siblings for 7 years over the burial of his father, and it was like
wow,
coffin choice, literally
wow,
over what box you're gonna put, you know, him in.
wow,
But it's everyone was raw. Everyone was like, "Oh,
mhm,
he's my dad, da, da,
yep,
da," you know what I mean? And there's this personal, "This matters, and I can't believe you," and da, 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 you know what I mean? And all that stuff that we've been talking about
hmm,
earlier about, oh, if these unhealed, unprocessed things within ourselves is how you're clouding both what you're hearing and what you're expressing, right? And that happens really profoundly, and I dealt with
hmm,
it for years because I was the person they were making the arrangements through. So I would
yeah,
navigate these family dynamics and stuff like that. So it's kind of funny that you're bringing that up, but that's that is the truth, and
man,
it doesn't always mean right then. It can be years later too, right? Because if stuff is unprocessed, it's still
totally,
happening, right? And moments like, oh, the anniversary of the birthday and the anniversary of the death day and all that kind of
hmm,
stuff, those things do stir these things up again,
yeah,
right? They
hmm,
renew within our own hearts. But just being
and I,
aware of these things, right? This whole process
yeah,
we're talking about to allow ourselves to be more compassionate
hmm,
to ourselves for what we're feeling, but
and
also
I,
to the other people for what they're going through
yeah.
too, right?
So I look at now we're talking about this. I seriously am just now thinking about it. I look back and go, I'm glad I took a month or
Yeah.
7 months
Yep.
because guess what? That rawness. Okay, yeah. Okay, guys, we're gonna do it on this date. There may be some
Yep.
on, it's gonna
Yep.
be a month later or
Yep.
7 months later.
Yep.
But then when we get closer to the date, I can make decisions that are not raw, quick,
Right.
you
Right.
know, decisions. I can
Yep.
instead of react, I can respond at
Yes.
that point,
Your mind is
and it's
clearer.
better.
You can
Mind
think.
is clear.
Yep.
Yeah, so if I can encourage anybody, take time. If you don't want to
Yep.
bury them those 3 days, don't have to.
Yep.
If you're doing a cremation, awesome.
Gives you
Because
some
that gives you more
flexibility.
time to do with it.
Yep.
I know some people know that's a whole other religion
Yeah.
stuff and all that. People believe and don't believe. It's like dust to dust. I'm
Yep.
sorry, but it's like so I'm going to kind of bring us back to where we were on our
Yep.
respond versus reaction.
Mhm.
And Sheldon put it good. So when we have I have my notes. Our respond versus reaction. Work on the response.
Yep.
And first off, notice this week when you have some
Mhm.
reactions. Say,
Mhm.
"Ooh, I could have responded better on that."
Yep.
Okay, that's just a personal thing.
Yep.
Don't go negative
Yep.
on yourself.
Yep.
Just notice it because we talk
Yep.
about it. We're such a bit worst critic. From
And
the
maybe noticing
reactive,
why, maybe noticing what was coming up within
yeah,
your own self that as to
hmm,
why that was happening,
yeah,
and giving yourself a little bit of grace,
correct,
right?
yeah. Because
It's a
one, you noticed it.
mhm.
Two, okay, how can I be a better person and
Yep,
respond better with
yep,
love
yep,
and peace?
yep,
So that brings us up to the big thing. Power, our power is
True
to
power.
choose how to express
Yeah.
love.
Yes.
Okay,
That is
so
true power.
your homework this week is to one notice a reaction or response. So, hey,
Mhm.
wow, I responded really well rather than reacted on that.
Mhm.
I'm doing better today,
Mhm.
and know that a true power is how we express that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Beautiful.
so work on that this week. That's our homework for this week, and we kind of end on that, and
Yep.
hopefully have some good conversations out there.
Yep.
Have some good
Yeah, we went all over the
responses.
place on this one.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
awesome. It's how it works.
So, you guys make sure you reach out to other people. Share this, subscribe.
Yep.
Always ask questions if you have to. We'd love to hear from you and make comments. Other than that, we hope you have a great week and make sure you go out there and when you react, make sure you respond.
Yep.
Okay, with peace
Stop,
and
drop,
love.
and breathe.
Yep.
Lots of
So
love to you
have a
guys.
yep.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
great week. Keep that smile on.
Take care.